For the tram flap workout that we're going to be doing today, you are going to need some props for it. So a towel is definitely going to be needed, as well as at least one pillow. If you have a ball, then fantastic. We are going to be using a ball for some stability work to help engage the core. You don't need to have a Pilates ball. Any sort of ball that has a little bit of squish to it will work. However, if you don't have a ball at your disposal, then a second pillow will work just as well. All right, I've preset myself up here. So I've just doubled up my mat because we are going to be sliding the feet out, and I've set up my towel there. I'm going to be using a ball and a pillow. The pillow is going to come underneath my pelvis. So the best way to get into this position is to come onto your side because you don't want to upset that incision site. Roll onto your back. And then from here, I'm going to sort of walk myself down. And then I'm just going to lift my bum up and put that pillow right under the bum. So I want to feel pretty supported. I don't want the pillow so far down that my back sinks, but I don't want to have it so far up that I'm in this big extension. So you want to have it right at the pelvis. The low back is a little bit supported, and there's a bit of pillow kind of coming out from your bum. All right, and I'm going to grab my ball. So the first thing that we're going to take a look at is that pelvic floor engagement. The reason that I've put us on a pillow is because gravity is allowing there to be less pressure on the incision site and the pelvic floor right now because I'm lifted up a little bit. Everything can kind of relax down. So that's taking a lot of pressure off of my muscles right now and off of the incision site. Especially if you have been really protecting the incision site by kind of curling the body around it, which is a natural tendency to do after surgery. This position with the pillow also allows everything to open up a little bit in a very unaggressive way to get a bit of stretch through the tissue that might have been very closed off for the last 2 months or so. So from here, we're going to revisit our pelvic floor breath, taking a breath in, and just placing my hands by my side. I can think of my pelvic floor widening and opening. And on the exhale, I want to pull it in and up. And what's nice is because I'm on this angle, I can feel those abdominals kicking in a little bit more. So if I think of the base of my pelvis like a clock face, 12 o'clock is my pubic bone, 6 o'clock is my tailbone, and my two little sit bones are 3 and 9 o'clock. As I take my breath in, I can imagine those numbers are spreading wide apart from each other. And on my exhale, I want to pull those 4 numbers toward the center of my clock. So I'm pulling the pubic bone, the tailbone, and the sit bones in toward each other, in and up. And then I get that nice feeling in the low abdominals. Now, because with the tram flap surgery, they'll have cut through those low abs, it may feel quite numb down there. You might not get as much feeling. So that's where placing the hands on the waist can be really helpful. As we exhale, you may feel the hands or the obliques kind of pull away from the hands a little bit. Inhale and exhale, pulling that pelvic floor in and up. Grabbing your ball or your pillow. Now I'm just going to place my elbows by my side. I'm just going to hold the pillow in my or the ball in my hands. As I take my breath in, I can imagine that my pelvic floor is like the ball. So it opens up, it's just nice and wide and open on my inhale. And then on my exhale, I'm going to start to press into that ball. Feeling the tightness across those abdominals and feeling the energy up through the pelvic floor. Inhaling, allow the ball to release. And exhale, pressing into that ball. See if you can sense how the abdominals naturally begin to contract as you press into that ball. Inhale and exhale. Inhaling and exhaling. Pressing into the ball. Feel that pelvic floor pulling in and up. Inhale, let the ball open. Exhale, press into it. Inhale and exhale. We'll do a couple more like this. Inhaling and exhaling. From here, we're going to move into our double knee drops. So we're going to start to let those inner thighs open as we inhale. The pelvic floor is going to spread wide here. On the exhale, as we press into the ball, we're going to pull those legs back together. Inhale and exhale. Inhale, letting the ball release, exhale. As that musculature begins to wake up and remember the movement again, you'll start to feel it more and more as you press into that ball. And again. One more time. Trying to stay pretty quiet in the upper body. All right, from here we're going to go into a single knee drop. So as I let my leg closest to the camera fall open, I want to keep my leg that I'm falling away from nice and supported through that inner thigh, but I'm also going to press into the ball and then bring it and let it release. So we're changing it a little bit. Before we were letting the ball release as the legs were open, but now as the leg opens and we're alternating sides, I am going to press into the ball because I'm creating some unequal load here where my abdominals and my obliques have to work a little harder to stabilize the opposite side of my pelvis. Otherwise, as I open my leg, I'm going to want to rock toward that leg that's falling. But if I press into the ball as the leg begins to open, then you'll find that you'll get a little bit more stability and a little bit more support from the oblique, and you'll be less likely to want to follow it in that rotation. Let's do a few more like this. One more time on each side. Last one here. So now I'm going to take the ball and I'm just going to place it between the inner thighs. We're going to give the lower half of the body a break for a moment, and we're going to take a look at the upper body. Now I'm just going to do one arm like this because I don't have room because of my table here. But I'm going to turn my palms up to the ceiling. That's going to encourage a little external rotation. It's going to let my shoulders relax into the floor. And then taking the affected arm, I'm going to start to just graze the arm along the floor. I know that it gets cut off by the camera frame, but I'm just opening my arm, kind of like a single arm snow angel here. And I'm just going to bring my arm to a place where I can feel a stretch through the tissue, but not a pulling. I don't want you to feel like you're really fighting the tissue to bring your arm up. Work slowly. You want to feel a stretch, and then bring the arm down. And let's do that again. So I'm just inhaling. As the arm goes up, trying to find some freedom through the shoulder blade, some freedom through the armpit, working to the spot where I feel that I'm getting a good stretch, but I'm not getting a really uncomfortable pull. And on my exhale, I'm going to bring that hand back down toward my hips. And again. Now, if you have room on the other side, you can absolutely do this. I just kind of end up hitting my table leg there. So I'm just going to do the one side, but please feel free to do both sides. And you may find that the unaffected arm goes up higher. Of course, that's fine. Or if both arms are affected because this has been a double mastectomy, then again, just moving slowly and paying attention to where you feel the stretch that feels good for the tissue, not a pull that feels bad for the tissue. I'm going to do 2 more like this, just breathing easily. And I'm just allowing my hand to glide along the floor here. If you're working on carpet, you can put a paper plate under your hand or a towel if you don't like the feel of your hand on the floor. And I'm going to do just 1 more here. I have a little bit of energy in that ball, so I'm just gently pressing into it. And down. So now we're going to build a little bit on the affected arm. I'm going to start to bring my arm up toward the ceiling. So I can get to about 90 degrees pretty comfortably, and then coming back down. And again, I'm just allowing the shoulder to feel nice and easy here. The shoulder blade is not really that involved quite yet. It doesn't get involved until I go past 90 degrees. So I'm just working nice and easily. Again, you can do this with both arms. You don't have to do it with just the one arm, but you can absolutely break this exercise down. Allowing those shoulders to feel nice and heavy. And I'm still thinking of my pelvic floor work. I'm still thinking of that core engagement. So from here, I'm going to start to let the arms go a little further back. If only one arm is affected, you can always place the unaffected arm behind that affected arm to give it a little bit more support so gravity just kind of doesn't drop the arm back, which might be too much of a stretch. But if you've been doing your stretches since 2 or 3 weeks post-surgery, you should hopefully be at a place now where you feel like you've gained some more mobility and you're able to find a little bit more movement through that affected arm. But I am going to bring my other hand behind me to support. And then as you get stronger, you can always take that arm away. So I'm feeling a stretch here. I don't want to push my ribs up to the ceiling. I really want to feel like I'm stretching through the rib cage and then coming back up. Exhaling, feeling those abdominals, upper abs kick in as those arms come back up. Again, just work in the range that feels best for you. That might be here, that might be here, that might be here. Feel that pelvic floor pull in, those abdominals kick in. We're going to do 2 more here. And 1 more time. And down. So I'm going to take the ball away. We're going to do a little bit of work with the towel now. So I'm placing my heel onto the towel and I'm going to flex my foot. Placing my hands just off to the side but above my hip bone so I can feel those obliques when I take my breath in and out. I'm going to inhale and let that leg go out. And on my exhale, I'm going to pull up through that pelvic floor. Think of those 4 numbers pulling together as I press into that heel, drawing the leg back in toward the bum. Inhale, let it go. And exhale. So we're starting to add a little bit of load to those low abdominals now. Just seeing how that work feels. And again. Let's do 2 more on this side. Trying to stay really quiet in the upper body. Last one here. And I'm going to move that blanket or that towel now to the other foot. Taking a breath in as I extend the leg. And on my exhale, I'm going to bring that leg back up. Inhaling. And exhale, that knee is going right up to the ceiling, pushing or drawing that heel into the floor and in toward the bum. You can always take your ball back if you'd like, inhaling if you found that to be really helpful to activate that core. Exhaling, press into the ball. 2 more. Letting the ball release, exhale, press in. Inhale. Last one here, exhale. Then taking the ball, we're going to put that towel aside and placing the ball back between those inner thighs. I'm going to start to press in and release. Waking up those inner thighs. And what's nice is there's a direct connection between the tissue of the inner thighs and the pelvic floor. So as I press into those inner thighs and I exhale, feeling that pelvic floor pull in and up, or imaging that pelvic floor pulling in and up. Inhaling, let it release. I'm getting some work there, even though you might not feel it in the low abdominals. We're working really deep here. We've got to build that house back up, right from its foundations. So you might not feel those walls yet, but the foundation is being built very strongly. A few more here. Last one. And we're going to hold a little bit of pressure, not a lot, but enough. We're going to move into a hip lift. So we want to strengthen the glutes to help support the pelvis, to help support the spine. That's going to be really important as we begin to rebuild that postural awareness and that postural strength. So we're going to give the bum a little squeeze, pressing into the ball as well, and using my bum to pick my pelvis up off of the pillow. I'm just really bringing my glutes to a little hover off of that pillow. But you can see I'm trying to get a nice long line, actively pressing down into my heels and reaching out through my knees. As I slowly let my bum release, I'm going to relax back down onto that pillow. So it's not a very big range of movement, but it's a really good place to start. So pressing into the ball, getting those glutes to fire up, I'm going to lift my bum up toward the ceiling, feeling that lightening of the glutes against the pillow. And then I'm going to slowly let my bum release, but I'm going to keep some abdominal support if possible as I relax back down. Exhale, pressing up. Inhale, coming down. So pretty easy breaths here. I'm not getting too fussy about it. And down. We're going to do one more time here before we move on. Up and down. Okay, we're going to take the ball away. I'm going to do a little lift to get rid of the pillow, and then I'm going to come to roll onto my side. Now, you can place a pillow under your head. If you would like, I would recommend having something under your head here. And I'm going to place the ball, or if you don't have a ball, you can put another pillow there, but I'm going to place it between my knees. I'm going to try to focus on getting my hips nice and square and keeping the feet together. I'm going to fire up my glute, and I'm going to start to engage through that glute, lifting my thigh bone and feeling myself move away from that pillow. So I'm not, or that ball, I'm not coming so high up that I lose the pillow and the ball, but I'm just, again, like our hip lift, starting to lighten the load there. So I'm really starting to feel the side of my bum kick in, and then I'm going to relax back down onto that pillow. And again, exhale, fire up the glute first, then use the bum to help lift that leg and then down. So you can see it's not a big range of movement. Exhaling up. But I can start to feel the work in the bum, which is what I'm looking for here. I need to feel the support of the glute on the side of my pelvis. Again, to help support that spine, to help support that pelvic floor. We're going to do 2 more like this. And 1 more time. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to release the legs now. So just doing that already, I'm starting to work a little bit harder. Finding my glutes, I'm going to lift the whole leg. I'm going to hold on to my pillow because my leg is going to start to come up a little bit, and then I'm going to relax back down. And again, firing up that glute. So legs are heavy, and I'm really starting to engage more glute power here. Oh, there goes my ball. And then come back down. So you can do this without a ball as well. I'm going to continue without it. Finding that bum to help lift the leg and down. Now a key here is not to roll back as you lift the leg. So we're going to do 3 more, and I really want you to focus on keeping the hips as stacked as possible, pulling the tummy in. And I'm just, again, you can place your hands around your waist so you feel that work. Now, if you feel like you might be sinking in your ribs here, you can take your pillow, or sorry, your towel, and you can place it underneath the waist, and that'll just help support the spine a little bit more in that part of the back. We're going to do 1 more time here. And down. I'm going to grab my ball or pillow and letting the leg relax onto it, the top leg relax onto it. We're going to work the inner thighs a little bit here. Reaching the leg out long. Again, exhaling, I'm going to flex my foot, and I'm just going to start to lift that leg up. It might not come very high. That's okay. But because of that inner thigh through pelvic floor into abdominal connection, we want to make sure that we're properly strengthening those inner thighs. And again. Let's do a few more here. And 2. We're going to stay up and do little circles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Breathing easy. Last one for 8. Reversing the direction of that for 8. And 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And then coming down. All right, I'm just going to bring my legs together to rest. I'm going to take my ball or my pillow. You don't need to have a ball or a pillow for this, but I like to have a little prop. It just helps me connect more into what I'm doing. So hips are nice and square. The tummy is pulled in. Just taking either the affected arm, well, whichever arm is free, and I'm going to lower and lift the arm. So again, just working within a range that feels comfortable. That might be here. That might be here. We just want to work the arm a little bit. Lifting and lowering. We're just going to do 2 more like this. Tummy is nice and supported. 1 more time. On this last one, we're going to come up and we're going to stay. From here, we're going to go for a little bit of a stretch. So my arm is in my peripheral vision, and I'm going to start to let the arm fall. Again, you can hold it if it's the affected arm and you have the unaffected arm available. You can support, but work within a range that feels right for you. So don't go all the way into this big stretch if it feels like it's too much of a stretch and you feel like it's pulling in a not good way on the incision site. If you can do this range of movement at this point where it still feels like it's a good stretch, then that's excellent, excellent work. And if you're not quite there yet, that's okay, just keep working. You'll get there. So we're just bringing the arm, and I want you to keep it in your peripheral vision. Don't send it too far back. That's going to stress not only your shoulder joint, but it's going to stress the incision site. Easy breath here. We'll do 2 more, and then we got to do all of this on the other side. Last one, inhaling, exhale, pulling up through that pelvic floor. And let's bring the arm down. All right, let's go to the other side. All right, so coming up nice and easy, I'm just gonna unroll my mat and move my pillow to the other side. Again, you can take that towel if you'd like and place it underneath the waist. Lying down on your side, not coming from your back onto your side, and placing the pillow or the ball between the inner thighs. We're going to start with those nice little clams. So making sure that you're nice and supported, the hips are square. I'm going to start to fire up my glutes here, and keeping the feet together, begin to lighten the load of my leg on the ball, and then letting it release back down. So this is a small range of movement that we're working through. Nice and easy here. This side might already feel a little tired because it was helping to stabilize the pelvis while we were lying on it. So just checking in with yourself. One more time here. And down. So now I'm going to lift my heel away from the bottom foot, engaging the glute. And again, I'm lifting the leg up. Now I might lose my ball here. I'm just going to take it away. As I lift my leg away, your pillow might still be there and down. So you can work absolutely within this larger range of movement. Do whatever feels best for your body. Again, as long as you're focusing on that pulling in and up through the pelvic floor and that those abdominals, those walls drawing in around the spine, kind of like a belt tightening around the waist or a ribbon wrapping around a beautiful present. That's what we're looking for when we're lifting our leg against this load. Pull it in. Don't push everything out. That's pushing out against the incision is just going to cause more discomfort. Pull in. And down. We're going to do one more time like this. And I need to find my ball for our inner thigh work. And down. Taking the ball, I'm going to place my leg onto it, allowing the foot to rest, reaching out through my other foot and flexing that heel. The hips are square. I'm going to reach out through my foot as I lift the leg and down. Exhale as I lift, pulling those abdominals in and down. It's always good to try to put some hands on yourself, seeing if you can sense that work under the fingers. Let's do 3 more. And 2. And 1.
All right, we've got to go into 8 circles here. 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Let's reverse that for 8. 7. Exhaling at the top of that circle. 4, 3, 2, 1, and down. Taking the ball away, I'm going to hold it out in front of me and lift that arm up and down. Again, I'm just going to my peripheral vision here. So I'm not going too far back with my ball. As you start to feel stronger, you can absolutely take a light weight, like a 1 pounder, and you can do this work with a 1 pound. But that's when you're at a place where you really feel that you can support and stabilize, and you don't feel like it's going to yank on the tissue in a way that is going to feel not so great. We're going to stay up on this last one. And then allowing the arm to go for a bit of stretch. Again, I'm in front of the body. My hand is in front of my head, or my arm is in front of my head, and then coming back. So I'm not going too far back. That's going to stress my incision site too much. I want to stay on the peripheral vision. Breathing easily here. Exhaling as I come up. Inhaling and exhaling. And again. One more time here. And down. Pushing yourself up. All right. We're going to now do some standing work and get those glutes to fire up just a little bit more. So we're going to do some glute work. We want to strengthen the glutes because they help to support the pelvis and the spine. And due to the incision, you may have been protecting it a little bit, maybe getting a little curled, a little tight. So we really want to try to fix that posture. We want you to be standing tall again. Part of that postural engagement is going to be getting these guys to wake up. I'm going to take my ball and place it between the inner thighs. So my feet, I have a little bit of pressure into the ball, but my feet are a little bit wider than hip distance apart. And I'm just going to start by doing some little squats here. So I'm letting my knees bend first. I'm just going into a little squat position. And then as I exhale and come up, I'm going to give that ball just a little squeeze. It's going to help wake up those inner thighs. It's going to help wake up that pelvic floor. I'm going to come onto my side view for this. Leading with the knees allows for the thigh bone to go deep into that hip joint and really find that hip crease. And then up. Finding that hip crease is going to prevent this, which might be happening as we continue to protect the incision site. But I want you to think of opening up and stretching as is comfortable the front of the body. Pressing up through those glutes, press up through that pelvic floor. Hands can just be wherever feels most comfortable. Out in front, on your hips, little genie arms, whatever feels best for you. You can even hug your chest like this if that feels best. So I'm really allowing for the pelvic floor to widen here. And as I exhale, I'm going to pull up through that pelvic floor. I'm going to engage those glutes. I'm going to give that ball a little squeeze. I'm going to do a few more here. Two more. One more time. And I'm not moving very quickly as I find that engagement in those glutes. I'm going to put the ball aside and open the legs a little bit wider now. I've also turned out my legs a little bit here. So now I'm going into a little bit more of a wider position, which is still going to allow my pelvic floor to open nice and wide, and exhale, pulling that pelvic floor in and up. This is going to help engage inner thighs just by opening the legs and turning them out a little bit. And up. What's nice about this position as well is that as I go down, I'm less likely to bend forward like I am when the knees are facing forward. I can kind of sit myself right down and then come right back up. It's like I want to ride a horse, right? So I'm just going right down and up. We're going to do a few more like this. Hopefully you're feeling those inner thighs, that pelvic floor, those abdominals kicking in a little bit here. We're going to do one more time like this. Pulling up through pelvic floor, find those glutes. Almost done with the bum. We're going to come back to that parallel position, and I'm going to bend the knees, kind of let my bum go back. I'm not in a full squat here though, I'm just kind of easily resting. What I am going to do though is I'm going to start to put the weight onto my back leg, and I'm going to reach my other leg out behind me. So I am in this nice diagonal line, and if you need something to hold on to, make sure you have something close by. And what I'm going to do here is tap and out, tap and out. So what this is doing, if I face you, is it's making this glute work harder. It has to now stabilize the whole body against some movement. So I'm trying not to sink into the hip. If we think of our pelvis like the most perfect scoop of ice cream, and our thigh bone is the ice cream cone, we don't want the ice cream to start to melt into the cone. Think of that beautiful, iconic image of ice cream and the cone sitting beautifully together. We're going to do two more. I can definitely feel that glute kicking in. One more time. And then up we come. We're going to do the other side. So again, I'm going to lead with my knees. I'm going to find that little crease in my hip, and I'm going to extend back and in, trying not to sink into my hip. It's hard. I can already see on this side I want to sink into this hip a little bit more. Keeping that nice support through the breath. And you can see that I'm really trying not to curl around the incision, but I'm really trying to stay nice and long through my torso here. 4, 3, 2, 1. And then coming up. The final thing that we're going to look at today is a little bit of arm work. The last two exercises that we're going to take a look at involve using a wall, and it's going to be to help strengthen the arms. So the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to stand on our side, bending the affected arm against the wall. So I have a little V shape here. The first thing I'm going to do is just start to press my hand into the wall and then release. By pressing my hand into the wall, I start to wake up those external rotators of the body. So I'm just gently pressing a little bit of support, and I can feel the work. If I were to do it this way, I could feel the work kind of around here and into my, my little rotator cuff muscles. And so I do want to start to strengthen those as well. They may have become affected in some capacity, just from maybe lack of use. But they're really important in getting our range of movement back to the affected arm. So now, having a little bit of pressure into the arm, leading with my fingers, I'm going to start to bring my arm up on the diagonal, and I'm just continuing to gently press into the wall. I'm just working to a range that feels good for me, and then I'm going to lead with my elbow, bend that elbow back down. So you can see that I'm sort of going out on maybe just a little bit above a 45-degree angle. And as I start to get more range of movement, then I can maybe start going a little bit higher into closer to a 90-degree angle. So all I did was I just changed the angle of my arm. I'm still actively pressing into the wall. We'll do this a few more times, working in whichever range feels best for you. I can definitely feel those rotator cuffs starting to fatigue a little bit. Last one. And down. Let's turn around, and we got to do the other side. So we start by finding that little V shape, and we're just going to start to press into the wall and release. And again, you can think of the abdominal support here. Are you kind of sinking into the body as you do this? You want to think of from the heels all the way out through the top of the head. You can almost imagine that there's little balloons between each vertebrae. And so those little balloons allow you to float a little bit more through that spine and out the top of the head. And I'm just gently pressing my hand into that wall. Now I'm going to start to press into the wall, and I'm going to go up on that 45-ish degree angle and then come back down. And again, I'm just actively pressing the wall. I have this feeling of lift through my spine. And if that's feeling good, you can change your directionality of the arm so you're going to start to get more of a 90-degree position. One more time here. All right, the last exercise we're going to do involves our shoulder blades. So our poor little shoulder blades sometimes get forgotten about. I like to give them a little pat just so I get a bit of sensory awareness and I can wake them up a little bit. From here, I'm going to place the arms just a bit wider than my shoulder distance. You can also do this on forearms if you feel that coming to the full arm is just still a little bit too much. Thinking of my two little shoulder blades like elevator doors opening and closing, I'm going to slide my shoulder blades toward each other, elevator doors closing, and then pushing the wall away from me, those elevator doors are going to slide apart. Slide them together, press into the wall, slide them apart. Now, I have a tutorial that should be up soon, if it's not already, on this shoulder blade movement. So if you'd like to go into a little bit more in-depth, then go check that tutorial out. The big thing you want to watch is that the elevator doors are moving horizontally here and not up to the first floor and not down to the basement. We're keeping our ribs really nice and quiet, pushing that floor away. Let's do just a couple more, sliding those elevator doors. And one more time. We'll do a bonus one, find that breath, exhale, and relax. All right. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope that this workout really helps to start to build more core strength for you, as well as continuing that exploration of range of movement and strength for the upper body.